Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. We have got an action-packed day today, a pretty busy day, I figure, don't you?
Yeah, I imagine.
The weather's warming up, so I mean, the warmer the weather gets, the busier we are. But we've got our chickens moved this morning, and I want to show you where they're at today. So we have now moved them into what we refer to as the sacrifice pasture, where the cows and horses stayed through the early part of spring while the grass was growing. So now it's their turn to come in here and scratch in the hay, eat the bugs, and honestly, we'll probably leave them in here for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt a thing with them to be in here long, because there's no grass to kill. The more chicken manure to leave, I mean, the more that it's just gonna help out our situation here.
That's right.
So until they get in the way, or until this becomes too muddy, this is probably where they're gonna stay for a while.
Yep. I want to give y'all an update on the new little chicks. I know there was some folks concerned in the comments about the chicks still being out with their mama and our whole situation, and I mean, we were concerned too, but let me show you something. Now, we're not putting out chick feed or nothing like that. Mama is 100% taking care of them. But it was just two. No more ever hatched, so it was just the two. Mama is protecting them from the other chickens. The other chickens at this point are not paying them any attention. At first, when they first came out, when she got them out, they were very curious, but she would kind of run them off and did not want them messing with her babies. So she's taking good care of them. And y'all, chicks are a lot hardier when they're raised by their mama than they are, say, if you buy them from Tractor Supply or something. I think we've done this a few times, just not in this house right here. Usually I move them, and I just wanted to see how it went. So the only thing we're having to do, they get out with mama in the mornings and everything, stay out with her all day. At night, we are having to come out here and put them in the box, and she's in the box waiting on them. And the chicks have kind of like realized that when they see me and Andy come down here at dark, they come running to us and they're like, oh, okay, they're coming to put us with mama. So they're doing just fine. Mama's being a good mama. All right, so next thing on the list, first thing this morning, is we're gonna keep working on our new little chicken cart here. That's what I'm gonna call it. And see if we can't get it at least close to finished today. And I wanna say thank you for everybody that sent us suggestions and pictures on Facebook and all that stuff. We appreciate the ideas. It really does help, especially since we're just kind of winging it.
So a lot of people seem kind of concerned about the tin box being too hot, and after we actually done the video, and we sort of thought about that as well before we ever even put the video out, and so we decided just to put hardware cloth on the ends, and it'd be more like our chicken tractor or our egg mobile we have down there, and be open on the ends. And then we're going to put hardware cloth across the top of the milk crates as well, so that way there's a breeze that flows through that. And
in the wintertime, we'll just do the plastic like we do on the other one.
In the wintertime, we'll just do the plastic. And I mean, the other thing is that nighttime is the only time they're going to be in here. And typically, unless it's just some of those rare summer days, it's not that hot here at nighttime anyways. And that's secure and sturdy. Ain't no predators going to get in there with them, which they're not going to get past the electric netting. However, if they did get past the electric netting, this will help, you know, they're not going to get in there. So anyways, Now I'm going to build a door. And I've got some scrap treated wood that I'm going to use for the door because I don't have no little thin pieces of oak, and I want something that's light to be easy to fold up and down. So I've just got some scrap treated wood here that's been laying around for a while, and we're going to put it to use. Well, we got to take an intermission. We got to go on a rescue mission. What'd you do? Just slide off this bank? Jacob's got him a little trail he's made through the woods right here. And it looks like he just slid just a little bit too far down that little hill.
Y'all remember the old chicken tractor that's down here in the cow pasture that y'all saw the cow standing in the other day? We need a little bit more hardware cloth, so we're just gonna rate it off of this thing, and we just really need to get it out of the pasture. So them tadpoles got feet?
Look, there's one right there at the top.
I see him there. I'm gonna get in there. There's a few.
They got one that don't have no legs yet.
Yeah. Real quick update. We actually had somebody in the comments ask about the road ditch I sowed in grass and everything, and here it is. It's growing. It's looking pretty good. I mean, it's about that tall, but it seems to have hit a standstill since we've had this dry weather. It just come up and now it's just sitting there not really growing. But it looks good for no more than what I've done. Basically just threw the grass seed out and threw this on top of it, and it's done really good. I'm happy with it.
Perfect.
That might be too high.
No, they can reach it.
Can they reach that?
Yeah.
We'll keep them scratching out, won't it?
That's right. Oh, that's a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna try it?
It wasn't ready yesterday.
Well.
Good.
Leave that thing right there.
Jacob likes to keep that four-wheeler clean, that's for sure. Well, y'all, it's done. This is the finished product for now, anyway.
What'd you call it? The chicken?
I called it the chicken cart.
The chicken cart. Chicken cart 1.0. So I'm actually pretty happy with how these right here turned out. You know, we cut the fronts out so the chicken can walk up in there. This will be full of hay, just like any other nesting box. And they just slide in so easy, and then they just, you know, they're obviously not locked into place, but, you know, they're not going anywhere. They can't go back no farther. We've got that fixed. And then we just lift them up a little bit. There it is. And then we put hardware cloth across here. And we purposely ran the tin side to side instead of front to back, because it don't matter where this thing parked around here, you know, water's going to run to the downhill side. Like, we don't have a level piece of ground. So I wanted, with the ridges running side to side, hopefully the water will shed off on that side or that side instead of shedding off right here, you know, so it'll help protect this a little bit better, and it won't be running water directly down on our runners right here, because we, on the big one down there, the Eggmobile, we have the tin running long ways on it, and all the water drains either to the front or to the back. Well, when it drains to the back, it runs right off on our little ramp, and I think that's got a lot to do with why that ramp has rotted as quick as it has. So now this will shed water side to side, and it's going to be running off on the tires, and all of this is protected, so it should be good, at least in theory. We do have some, where this is used tin, we got some holes we've got to fill in with some caulking, but that's no big deal. But me and Megan were just talking about it, and every single piece on this thing here was something we already had, except for the wheels and the bolts that run through the wheels. You know, at some point or another, obviously we had to buy the screws, but we already had them. We had to mill the lumber, but we already had it here. The tin come off of, I believe both of this tin and this tin come from a building up at my grandma's when they put new tin on it. So, you know, we've been using this tin right here for everything. And, you know, it's, every bit of it is pretty much stuff that was already here. So for this project alone, we only have right at about $100, maybe a little over $100, time you count buying these wheels and those bolts and the washers and everything else. Those bolts were actually one of the most expensive things on here. Those 8-inch 3/4 bolts. There it is. Let's show them the back door, how this is going to work. So it'll just let down like that. They'll walk out. We put a piece of hardware cloth on this to sort of help give it a little bit of traction, but in reality, I mean, I don't think, you know, a chicken can hop up in and out of that if they need to. Shoot, they don't halfway use the ramp that's on that one down there, and it sits this high off the ground. So, but it's quick and easy to pop in there and latch it. And this was, we ended up having to redo the way we done our hinges. So this was supposed to have been all the way up here, but the way I had to do the hinges down on the bottom, it ended up being just a tad bit short, but it's not gonna hurt anything.
And again, the reason we ended up having to do the hinges that way is because these were hinges we already had.
Yeah, and so we just had to make them work.
So we just made it work, yeah. But their feeder's gonna hang. We've got a hook up in there.
I'm still curious if they can reach that feeder or not. Do you think they can?
Yeah, they can reach it.
Really?
Yeah.
Young chickens won't reach it.
They'll be all right.
Well, we may end up having to adjust that a little bit.
And it may be just like my milk stanchion down there. For any of y'all that's followed us for any amount of time, you realize we keep making improvements to the milk stanchion the longer we use it. And this right here will probably be no different.
Probably so. We'll find something. We'll find something that don't work quite like we think. And it's so easy to roll. Let's show them.
You want me to roll it?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can still do the one-hand trick like I did in the last video.
Oh, yeah, you can. It's balanced real good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a little heavy. I mean, you can feel that it's heavier than it was.
Yeah, you can definitely tell it's got more weight to it now.
Right, right. But, I mean, the wheels, I know I had some people worried about it, but this thing's 10 times easier to move than that chicken tractor than meat chickens is in. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm
the one we
backing
dragged.
uphill now, so this is, I know it's hard to tell on camera, but.
I really think the weakest link we have are those wheels.
Well, and the thing is, it ain't like I'm going to be walking this thing 150 foot across the pasture. If we're moving that far, then we'll hook it to the side by side.
Yeah, we'll figure out a better way to move it.
Yeah, so, but for what little bit, because my plan is they're going to be in the electric netting like we do now, and maybe every day or two, I'll move it the width of this house.
Yep,
And
you
I'll
ain't
do
gonna have
this
to move
right
but a
here.
few feet.
And then I'll be done.
And then when we make a big move once a week,
We'll figure something else out. I mean,
it's not gonna be that hard to make a big move once a week. In reality, we'll get more usage out of our pasture with this thing because we can fit it into smaller corners now.
and they're not killing the grass.
Well, yeah, but it was, that big one was
Well,
so
that's
hard to
true.
find a flat place to park that thing.
That
Because
thing gets real sketchy when you get on
it
the side
seems
of the
so
hill.
top heavy that you can't just park it anywhere.
Right.
Where this, like we could literally stick them anywhere we want to.
And we can actually utilize the chickens for a little bit in the garden in the fall.
Yep, we can bring them in the garden for a little while, and that big coop won't be.
Well, see, that
Sitting
thing
out
was
there.
so hard to move. I mean, we've tried that, and that thing's so hard to move. And there were so many chickens, they caused more compaction than they did help anything.
But I've never had that garden packed down as tight as what it was when those chickens were in there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm sure they stayed in there a lot longer than they should have.
But
they were probably in there a month at least.
This is going to make that doable.
Yeah, but this right here will make it to where we can move it around every little corner of the garden when it's that time. And, let the fertilizer drop wherever it needs to be and not have those hot spots, just the same as the pasture. We won't have those hot spots. I just feel like it's going to work so much better.
What are you eating?
So we've took a quick break and came up to the local ice cream place.
Best ice cream you'll ever eat.
That's right.
And best cone you'll ever eat.
And we got tiger one.
Yep, and even Tiger. They have ice cream for dogs, so she came with us. He's a good little man.
Yummy.
So if you're anywhere near Danbury, North Carolina, I'll be sure to post a link to a Front Porch Creamery if you want the best ice cream you've ever eaten.
The best waffle cones you've ever eaten.
That's right.
They're made
Here.
as soon as
they
fix your ice cream cone.
You can also bring your dog. They got a dog cup
Look at your mouth.
they got a dog treat that you put in it.
I think you need to wipe your mouth.
And you can also get different kinds of cones.
That's right.
Like chocolate cones and vanilla cones and strawberry cones.
They're
so.
delicious.
Yeah.
And
And Megan said they
blueberry
have good
cones.
milkshakes too.
Yes.
So y'all might have heard the old Farmall here giving me a fit the other day in the corn planting video when I first started it up. Truth be known, I think she's been mad at me ever since I bought that Kubota. I really do. But I'm going to give her a little bit of love here before I use her this season. I got some spark plugs, got the rotor button, distributor cap, and set of points to put in this thing. And I'm going to see if that don't help it, then I guess it's going to need some work on the carburetor eventually. But I'm hoping this works because I've never done any of that work. I've never put no spark plugs or nothing in this thing. So let's get it in there so we can go put it back to work. Spark plugs actually look pretty good. A little bit close. I think it could be gapped a little bit farther apart, but since I have new ones, we're going to put them in there. those little parts right there are what makes contact to make each cylinder fire. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but the whole edge of it is burnt off. And what happens is that little piece right there spins around, and each time it comes in contact with one of those, it sends fire to each spark plug. And that's what a new one looks like. See how much better that looks? Well, before I put the hood and the muffler back on, we'll just test it here and make sure everything's gonna be good. Sounds like it's running better. Boy, I'm glad I ain't got to listen to that racket all the time.
Sounds like a pulling tractor.
You like that, don't you?
I want to leave it on. Put the hood back on, but just leave the muffler off. And then you go.
Well, as bad as that distributor cap was, I don't know how it runs. Because it was pretty rough. Bet you ain't gonna tune up no modern day tractor that quick and easy. So now what we're gonna do is adjust these discs here to point in just a little bit more to where they'll ridge up a row. And we're gonna go down here and lay off a few rows across the creek to get our popcorn planted. And I'll probably go ahead and lay off a couple rows to plant a row of green beans, a row of purple hull peas, and a row of October beans. So we gotta have, I think I'm probably gonna lay off at least 5 to 6 rows for the popcorn, and then 3 rows for the beans and peas. So roughly 9 rows is what I'm going to go lay off here in just a minute. But that won't take up that whole garden, but it'll take a good bit of it. See what that looks like. That ought to throw us up a real good row. All right, I'll get me some fertilizer and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Okay, so we're down here across the creek at what we call the creek garden. This is what y'all saw in the previous video. That was the knee-high crimson clover. We've got it tilled up, ready to plant. And so we're going to lay off some rows with the 140. I've got the fertilizer in the hopper. And yes, I do still use fertilizer with these cover crops. I just don't have to use as much. So I'm going to lay off a few rows in this section right here for the popcorn. I'm not sure how carried away I'm going to get with the popcorn just yet. I really at one time had thought about planting the whole bottom in popcorn, but I don't think I'm going to do that now.
But Megan's back here shaking her head.
Yeah, Megan's like, no, somebody's got to shell that mess. But over there on that side is where we'll be planting the beans and the peas. So what I typically tend to do down here is I start on this side and I start on that side and I work my way to the middle when I go to planting stuff. So we'll save this middle section right here probably for a later crop or for something. You know, who knows what we may decide to plant. Let's get to it.
Y'all can see this dirt down here looks a whole lot different than that cornfield y'all saw us do the other day. You can see here, even though it ain't rained in 3 weeks, chunk of mud. Show y'all something. This down here, this is kind of our little piece of paradise, I guess you'd call it. The youngins have their own little hangout spot when we're down here working at this garden, and then the dog too. You talking about being a good place to work in the summertime. It ain't nothing like coming down here and you're hot and you're sweaty and you just go jump in the creek. We've done it time and time again.
And I go over here, I gotta have what, 3 rows? Green bean row, a purple hull pea row,
October bean.
and an October bean row. So 3 rows.
Yeah.
All right, you want to put those in the ground today?
Yeah, I reckon it'll be warm enough. If the dirt don't feel too warm, but I guess it'll be all right.
I think there's enough moisture in the ground that the seed will come up without rain. I don't know. We'll find out. Worst thing will happen, we have to replant it.
Well, it won't be the first time.
No.
Won't be the last either.
Won't be the last either. That's working so pretty, I want to just do the whole thing.
I'm just waiting on you to do it.
I know you are. I got to hold myself back. Man, That is just beautiful.
That's about the best this garden's worked in a few years.
Yeah, because we've had wet springs for the last few years, so it's been tough to get this garden right. My goodness, that dirt is working perfect. So first we're going to plant our popcorn. We're using Japanese Hulless Popcorn seed. That's the same popcorn we planted last year.
And it is delicious.
Yes. So,
That's right.
yeah, you do, don't you? So this is going to be the real test for this planter. This is where we usually have so much problem with that earthway planter.
And it takes two of us.
Yes. Yeah, Megan would usually have to walk in front pulling it, and I'd have to push it to keep it from nose diving and trying to sink up and everything else. So
now, for those of you that may not know or may have missed this video, this is the Hoss Cedar, and we'll be sure to leave a link down in the description for this.
For their website.
For their website.
And usually, I'll show you real quick before I get started. You can see where I've got the cover crop chopped up in here. Stuff like that is what would always hang on that sward on that earthway planter and cause it to gum up. And then just the simple fact the dirt's so soft, it would just sink up down here.
And it would nosedive.
Yeah, and the way we ridge our rows up, and that's because we do it with the tractor. We keep it plowed and everything with the tractor. And it just never worked good. So we're about to find out how this baby's gonna go. Like I said, try your best to keep it in the top of that ridge. What do you think?
I don't even hardly feel like I'm having to push it.
Yeah, the hardest part is navigating it across the top of the ridge.
Yep.
Like I said, that ain't the planter's fault. That's our fault. We should have knocked the ridge off just a little bit. Yeah, we should have knocked the top of the ridge down before we tried to plant it. But
the hardest part is walking in this soft dirt.
I know, especially straddling that row.
I got little legs.
They're spread.
I've got tickled. I got to quit.
You want me to take over? Or you gonna finish it?
I'll try to finish it.
All right.
Come on, Mama, you can do it.
Well, thank you, sissy.
Mama, you can 100% Yeah.
That's good enough. That ain't gonna split no more. Hit it.
There you go.
So we took a minute away from the garden because we thought since we were down here working and it's such a pretty day out, the weather is perfect. We're gonna cook supper down here at the creek tonight. So while the fire and everything is doing its thing, we'll be over here, right here by it, watching it and letting it get ready to cook on.
That's one of my favorite things about working down here.
Yeah, I know, and it's so peaceful. It feels like there's nobody else around you anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Even though they are. I mean, just right up the hill here, but just feels like you're down here all alone. So this one is the bean y'all hear us talk about all the time. Previously, we've been planting Supremo beans, which are October beans, cranberry beans. I don't know. There's
a bunch of names.
There's several names for them. So the variety that Hoss carries now is Supremo bean. So anybody looking for October beans or cranberry beans, you know, as any of y'all may call them, if you go to Hoss's website, like I said again, there'll be a link in the description. They are now this year's Supremo beans because it's just a different variety. Tapazio beans was the variety he carried for a couple of years. This is a little bit more newer and improved variety. So,
and it come from the man himself. We personally asked
yes,
him.
we personally asked him. We know, and that's exactly what he told us. They are exactly the same. I mean, they look the same. All right, Jacob, tell them what you got there that you're going to start your fire with.
I got my fire starter, and I got my lint.
That's dryer lint.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Daddy?
Just a little disclaimer here, y'all. We don't claim to be professionals at starting a fire this way. I'm more of a diesel fuel kind of guy and a match, but you know, it's good to teach the kids to do it this way, just in case they ever have to.
That good?
All right. So yeah, I think what would be the best thing is we'll put the lint over here, and you put that fire starter down on it.
Hey, watch out!
Look, you got it. All right, give me some cardboard over there. Hurry up. You got it, Jacob. Good job. All right, give me 5. Done it with a fire starter. Yeah, all that little stuff laying there.
Daddy, look who's creeping down.
Mm-hmm. Looky yonder, y'all. The wood ain't took yet, but it's starting to. It's coming on good now, ain't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, now I can give me some more fire. That's right, I can give me some more fire. Oh, this is a little bit more than done.
Jacob, ain't no way that hot dog's done.
I like them like this.
We'll just do these for tomorrow's burgers and then we'll put their cheese on.
All right.
Very good.
Looking good. Maggie's sitting over there eating a hot dog. Jacob, he's done cooked I don't know how many hot dogs on the fire. So I reckon he's done eating, and me and Mama's just now getting started.
Yep. Had to let the pan get hot.
Yeah, it took a little bit for the pan to get hot. We had to add some wood to it, which is something I don't really like to do is cook over an open flame, but
Our thing's.
our thing's too high off the coals. So it's working.
Oh yeah. It's worked for what, 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah. Oh, they looking good.
Yep. That cheese smells good.
Does it? What's it smell like?
I don't smell it. I smell the peppers in it.
Okay.
There it is.
My goodness.
Well, y'all, we're going to enjoy us some supper, but we really hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope you might have learned a little something. And anyways, we'll see y'all on the next one.
Catch y'all next time.
Have a good one.